Hello friends, in today's video we will see how to file GSTR1. For filing GSTR1, first of all you have to log in into the GSTR portal and then click on the return dashboard. After you click the return dashboard, the financial year comes as 2017-18. You have to select the return filing period, which I will select as July, and then we will do search. As we can see, the due date of GSTR1 details of outward supplies of goods or services is 5/9/2017. Now there are two modes of filing in the GSTR1 return, which can be either in an offline mode or an online mode. Today we will move on to the online mode. So prepare online. Here you can see the return period for July. The due date is 5/9/2017. Here you have to enter the aggregate turnover on the preceding financial year. Preceding financial year being 1st of April 2016 to 31st of March 2017. Here in this tab you have to enter the turnover from April to June 2017. Now GST became effective from 1st of July 2017. Therefore, they are asking for the turnover from April to June, that is prior to the GST coming into effect. In this GSTR1 form, the first tab talks about the B2B invoices, that is the business to business invoices, which includes the taxable outward supplies which are made to registered persons. When you click on this invoice, as you have not entered any invoices, no invoice is being shown, so we will add the details. Now here in this B2B invoice, that is the supplies which are being made to any taxable registered person. Registered person meaning person who is registered under the GST regime. So first of all you have to enter the GSTIN number of the receiver, that is our client who has received the supply. Then the receiver's name will come after you enter the GSTN number, the invoice number which have been provided to us, the invoice date, the place of supply, that is the state to which the supply has been made, and the total invoice value, the supply type. And we have to check whether this is a supply which tracks the reverse check. If no, do not select it. Supply whether it is through e-commerce operator, that also you have to select whether if it is applicable. After this, the second one talks about the large invoices which are being issued to consumers, that is B2C, that is the final consumer. So taxable outward supplies which are being made to unregistered persons. This is applicable only in cases of interstate supplies and where the invoice value is more than 2.5 lakhs. So if it is intrastate, even if more than 2.5 lakhs, you have to not enter anything in this tab. If it is intrastate, then no need to enter here. If it is interstate and the invoice value is more than 2.5 lakhs, you have to enter the details in this tab. You click on add details and then you have to enter the details being the place of supply, the invoice number as you have issued, the number of the invoice which you have issued, the invoice date, the supply being the interstate it's already written over here interstate because it's for interstate only, total invoice value, the rate you have to enter as taxable value. Suppose I enter 60,000 rupees, the integrated tax will come here. As it is interstate, will be integrated tax and not your CGST or SGST, and then you have to save. After that, the third column talks about credit and debit notes which you have issued to any registered taxpayer, that is taxpayer registered under the GST regime. So add details. You have to enter as the registered taxpayer, to enter the receiver's GSTI number, receiver's name, the debit credit note number which you have issued, the date of the issuing of such debit or credit notes, the original invoice number, the original invoice date, the type of the note, being whether it is a debit note or credit note or a refund voucher, the value of such note, the type of supply, whether it is interstate supplies or intrastate supplies, and why, the reason for issuing the notes, why did you issue the debit or credit note, whether it was due to sales return, post sales discount, corrections invoice, etc., etc. Next talks about debit or credit notes which we have issued to any unregistered user. 6A talks about export invoices, any supply which you have exported out of India. Talks about this tab talks about the export invoices. You have to enter the invoice number, invoice date, the port code, the shipping bill number or the bill of export number which you have issued, and the date of issuing such shipping bill or bill of export, total invoice value, whether it was with payment of tax or not, etc., without payment of tax, that you have to enter. Here again there will be no CGST or SGST, it will be only integrated tax. Next column talks about the B2C, that is any supplies which you have been made to unregistered persons other than covered in table 5. Okay. All supplies which you have been making to any all unregistered persons, you have to enter here, add details, enter the place of supply, taxable value, the total taxable value, supply type, and the rate you have to select. That's all. Suppose I select it from state, taxable value is suppose 60,000 and the rate is 12%. So you can see the central tax comes and the state tax. Because it is business to consumers, intrastate I have selected supply type. It can be only intrastate supplies will come in this tab, nothing else, not the interstate ones. And this is also other than e-commerce, because e-commerce we have already covered in the prior tabs. 8A, B, C and D talks about nil rated supplies. If you have made any nil rated supplies, you have to enter those in this tab. If you have received any advances, you have to enter in 11A and 11A1 and A2. 11B talks about adjustments of advances, any advance amount which have been received in the earlier tax period and you have to adjust it against the supplies which are made in this tax period. So any advance, suppose you have received an advance in July and you want to make an adjustment in this tax period, suppose if you take it as August, then these adjustments have to be shown over here. Okay, so the next tab talks about the HSN-wide summary of outward supplies. Now we will add the details. So you have to enter the HSN code. Now for whatever goods you supply, you have to know the HSN code, at least the 4-digit HSN code is required. You have to give the description of the HSN code. Now UQC talks about the unit quantity in which you are selling the goods. Now suppose you sell goods in kilograms, you have to write kilograms, or if you are selling the goods in boxes or bottles, suppose you are selling in cans, you have to enter in which quantity you sell your goods. You have to enter the total quantity of the goods which you have sold, the total value of the goods supplied, and total taxable value. Enter details of the integrated tax, the central tax, the state or the UT tax, and says if any, and then you have to click on the add button. We will move again to GSTR1. The last tab talks about the 13th number. It talks about documents which have issued. So it talks about all the documents which have issued. There are 12 documents. The first document which you have issued being the invoices for the outward supply. At the document, it talks about the serial number of the invoices you have issued. Suppose you have issued a new bill book from 1st of July, so it will be 1 to, suppose you have issued 80 invoices in the month of July, so 1 to 80, total number being 80. If any cancelled, If you have cancelled 2, then net issued 78. This talks you can also delete the facts which you have entered by this action button here given. The second one talks about invoices from the inward supply from unregistered person, in cases of reverse charge, any revised invoice which you have issued, any debit note you have issued, any credit notes you have issued. You have to check before filing the figures here, because these will be cross-verified from the other the entries which you have made in the previous tabs in the Gstr1. The receipt voucher, payment vouchers which you have issued, all serial numbers, the total number which you have issued, cancel, net issued will come automatically. Any refund vouchers which you have issued, delivery challan for the job work, if you have issued any delivery challan for the job work, you can enter here. Any delivery challan for supplies on approval, if you have sent any goods on approval basis, and the delivery challans which you have issued for such supplies, you have to enter here. And delivery supply challans in cases of liquid gas, and any other delivery challan other than the those in serial number 9 to 11. You have to add the documents and then you have to save. After this, you can generate the Gstr1 summary and review the the entries which you have made in these total all the tabs. Be careful that the documents issued tab must be same and must be tallied with the entries which are made in all these tabs. There should not be any mismatch. After that, you will acknowledge, submit. Lastly, you will take the declaration, and you can file with your digital signature ESC, or you can file with EVC, in which the OTP will be sent to your registered mobile number, and you can enter the OTP and file it. Even without ESC, you can file through this EVC mode. This is the way how you can file the Gstr1 returns. Thank you.